Hey, everybody. So thanks for coming out and taking a look at this interview. I have our 2024 Agent Ong Open Strikes Back champion, Kyle Ponzo, with us today. Just trying to catch up with Kyle and kind of now that we're 2 days removed from the tournament, just wanted to kind of see how he's feeling, what he's thinking, and kind of just touch base with him and his thoughts about the tournament, etc. So Kyle, welcome to this little interview that I'm going to set up with you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Carl. I appreciate it.
So now that you're a couple of days removed, like what are your initial thoughts after winning the tournament?
I mean, I was in shell shock for a little bit. I always believe in myself. I always believe that I can win anything I um, step foot in. But, looking around at the top 16 when I was in there, I was like, wow, this is a tour stop almost, you know? Um, so it was pretty surreal. I had to really stay focused, stay calm, and not think about anything too big, just focus on the little things, making one shot at a time. But I mean, you guys did an amazing job all weekend, and it was the best tournament I bowled all year. So hats off to you guys too.
No, I appreciate you saying that. So kind of like walk us through like when did you initially think about bowling and what were your initial thoughts?
I've been planning to bowl this for since last year. Last year I didn't bowl that great, but it was one of the funnest tournaments, most fun tournaments um, I've ever bowled in, and the amount of side action, the amount of squads, um, all the action matches that you host. Um, it's all great, and I look forward to it every year. I mean, I know last year was the first year, but I've been looking forward to it for a year, and I know Matt won last year, and he helped coach me. So it's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty surreal. So
Yeah, I feel like two natives have now won. I mean, Matt's obviously in California now, but Matt was living out here when you won the tournament as well last year. So
yeah,
it's like we got
exactly.
some hometown heroes right now. So
Yeah.
um, So when was the first squad that you bowled?
I bowled on Friday at 1 p.m. and started out. I was throwing the purple. I shot 2-0 first game, 204. Games two, I shot game two, I shot 181, 184 game three, 187 game four, and it was like 186 game five. It was something around that. It was in the 180s games two through five.
Got it.
And then we get to game six, and my mom shows up, my girlfriend shows up. My girlfriend and I live in Flagstaff, so she was down here as well. And they came, and I saw them, and I shot 245 last game, and it got me to minus 15 to sneak in there. So it was pretty cool.
Okay, so you got a little inspiration as soon as they showed up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Something, some good luck or something.
Fair enough. Um, you ended up bowling again though, right? Because the way we do it, you don't really actually know the cut unless you throw some astronomical number up. So did you decide to bowl again?
Yeah, exactly. And I was listening to the stream all week, and they were saying it was going to be closer to even. And when I showed up to bowl that second squad on Saturday night, everyone's like, "You shouldn't bowl. You're good. You're good." And I've been in that situation before where you think you're good and you're not. So I was like, better to play it safe, and even if I don't beat that score, I can go out and get some information. I can go out and test a different way of playing the pattern.
Right.
So I started with urethane that block again, and it gave me 230 out of the gate. And then I went to another pair, and pair to pair this week was brutal. Um, the next pair I shot 150 on, I want to say. And so then after that, I get out of urethane and I go into resin, and I try to find something with that because I know in the back of my mind urethane will get me to 180 if I make all my makeables, 180, 190. And I wanted to see what was out there because I saw Sam scoring all week with he was throwing urethane for a little bit, but his luck with reactive was just as good, if not better. So
Right.
um, I was trying to find something for sure.
Okay. So I mean that had to resonate in your mind a little bit though. If you don't bowl that second squad and for some reason that minus 15 doesn't make it, you're out. There's no desperado opportunity for you. So is that kind of weighing in the back of your head as well?
Yes, 100%. I was like, well, worst comes to worst, I'm out of the cut and I can't bowl Desperado. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it one more go. And if I get pushed out, Wesley Lowe and Brianna Cote and I were all in a tie for at minus 15. So I was like, that's a scary spot to be, even though I felt like it was safe.
Yeah, that
Um,
would be an interesting roll off if that was a number.
yeah,
That
and
that's pretty big names there.
I was thinking that it would come down to some sort of roll off. Luckily, it didn't. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, it was always in the back of my mind. You never know what could happen with bowling. I know that you guys were taking some extra spots, so it's gonna drop the cut a little bit. So,
Sure.
um, but yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I was nervous. Yeah,
Right. Saturday 1 p.m. squad obviously was our largest squad we've ever had. I mean, obviously only in our second year, but yeah, we added 15 spots to the cut line after Saturday's squad, 1 o'clock, without knowing what the number was going to be after the 6 o'clock. We just didn't know how many entries we were going to get. It's hard for me, just to kind of give you a backstory. It's hard for me to predict how many we're going to take to Sunday.
yeah,
Because as much as we do the online options and offer early bird incentives, bowlers in general just like to walk in and take their shot when they feel like they're ready to bowl. So from a hosting and tournament directing standpoint, it's just such a hard number to try to give you guys for, information purposes. We just don't know. It's very hard to predict.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And that makes
so
sense. I was going back last year, and I was like, how many people did they take last year? And I know you guys took a little bit
in the
more.
mid 40s, we took an extra two out of the Desperado last year as well.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yep. How'd you do in the sweepers?
Not great. I didn't have a great look. Um, my look right up the gutter with urethane was not great. I looked at that pattern you posted, and with those speed bumps there, it was important you kept the ball right in front of yourself. If you leaked it out a little, it was just gonna shoot right through those spots. So
Right,
I found that a couple times where you leak it out one board, it's not right in front of you, and it shoots through those spots. And the amount of 210s you saw this weekend was insane. So
right,
I wasn't I didn't see it that great on the fresh, and when I saw that there was a re-oil for the ladder, I was like, well, I got to hit my purple with something heavy, and we're gonna look at the gutter, and I'm gonna take a peek at a little further right of where I was playing in qualifying, and in the ladder it looked good, but in the sweepers, I was trying to play around the same place I was playing with the in the ladder, and it just wasn't there yet. I had to be inside of that, or else my ball would hook like 3 times before it got to 40 feet.
gotcha. So let's talk about the cashers round and obviously in the match play. So what I wanted to chat with you about was like, tell me a little bit about round one. You ended up bowling Kyler Adams. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was actually looking at scores, and I was like, I wonder who I'm bowling. Like, let's see. And of course, it's Kyler, one of my best friends. I bowl doubles with him from time to time. We bowl all the same tournaments usually, and we both throw it pretty similar, in my opinion. So I was like, and we've bowled a lot of head-to-head games before, a lot of head-to-head matches. The amount of strike forces we've bowled head-to-head, it's been a lot. So um, in my mind, I'm like, you just got to go make the best shots you can. My mindset, I've been practicing a lot. I've been practicing every day for almost every day for a couple years now. And, when I'm practicing, I'm just trying to throw the ball one shot at a time, focus on my moves, read the lane. And that's kind of what I was trying to do against Kyler too. He was playing a little further right of me, and I was inside, and I saw his ball. The over under with it was there for the first game, and then he moved in. And I was like, now it's almost an even game. We're both playing the same part of the lane. Um, I just have to make shots, and I kind of just kept my head down and um, just trusted myself and trusted the way I bowl, and I was just trying to make shots. So
Got it.
luckily, I think I shot 249, 221 at him. But when the lanes broke down, it helped me a lot. I was able to get in and kind of swing it on a couple pairs, and then on the other pairs, I would have to shove it. I'd have to, tighten it up a little bit and
Sure.
close my angles down. And especially on the right lanes, I found the right lanes to be tight all week. In a couple matches, I was throwing two different balls and playing them six, seven boards different. In the match against D-Ron, I was doing that. But hats off to Kyler. I always love bowling against him. It's always a fun match. Uh, he's one of my best friends, so it was great.
Awesome. All right. So you get through Kyler, and then we go to the second round of 16 in theory.
Hmm.
You end up bowling against Timothy Jacob, correct?
Yep.
How to tell us about that match a little bit.
Yeah. So I had the same mindset. I think I was on 5 and 6 against, or no, I was further down against Kyler, but I went to 3 and 4. And I practice at Kyrene a lot, and I always practice on 1 and 2. I'm always on one, and so I knew a little bit of the characteristics of 3 and 4. I knew um, that it was going to be tight on 4, and 3 was going to hook. And Tim and I were playing the lanes completely different. He was throwing a knockout bruiser, a solid, shiny ball right up the gutter, like 16 to 4. So I guess not right up the gutter, but he was pretty close to it. And I was past 40 to like 16. I was playing, and he bowled a great game. I think I beat him the first game. He beat me game two, and then game three it came down to the wire, and I ended up scraping it out. But um, Tim's a great guy. I've also known Tim for quite some time now, so I knew that was going to be a fun match. And luckily, I got away with it. And but he had a great look all weekend, So um, I was throwing a vaporize and an NB tour against him, and they looked pretty good. I was able to control the pocket, and the lanes opened up pretty well on Sunday. I feel like with the everyone kind of had the same idea going into the first round on Sunday, and everyone knew where they wanted to play. So lane to lane wasn't as tough, and pair to pair wasn't as brutal. Um, so it made things easier when more and more games got on the pair. So
Gotcha. So far in mentally, after you've kind of seen after one or two matches now, like what are you seeing out there? Like are you seeing a bunch of transition? Because this is the first time you guys have actually seen burn.
yeah,
What were you
yep.
seeing?
I was seeing quite a bit of transition. I mean, on the right lanes, at least for me, oil was at 55 plus feet almost. Like the ball would not tip off the end of the pattern. There was no end of the pattern almost. So there was quite a bit of transition. And I bowled for ASU the past couple years, and college, there's a lot of games being bowled, and so I'm kind of used to seeing um, when it gets like that, and it kind of just looked like the end of the day of college to me when I started to get into D-Ron, because I just moved left, closed my angles down, moved my eyes in, and it looked good. And transition was definitely there, but there were so many ways to attack this pattern. Like I'm looking over and I'm seeing Simo um, roll an idle standing on like 45, and he's just rolling it and throwing it really hard, and it looks really good for him. And I'm over here and I have a 360 grit MV tour, and I'm throwing it slow and I'm hitting it as hard as I can. So, and they
Right.
both looked pretty decent. So I like that there were a lot of ways to attack the pattern, especially when it did transition, because even D-Ron and Tim and Kyler, they were playing straighter, and they were just kind of trying to shove it, move their eyes in as more oil got pushed down lane by the urethane. So um, I think it benefited me just because I've bowled a lot of college, and when it opens up like that, I get pretty comfortable, and I'm pretty used to that. So
All right. So now let's talk about D-Ron. D-Ron is now your next match after you get through a three-game match with Timothy Jacobs. You're now in the round of eight. Now you know you're bowling D-Ron. As we all know, he's our current USBC Masters champion. Um, any thoughts on that going into that match? Any nerves at all, or because
yeah,
me personally, I've seen you the last couple years. I've gotten to, get to know you and your dad a little bit over the last 2 years. And one of the things that I've noticed, I don't ever see you get rattled. Whether you have the front six or you go goose egg, in open frames, back to back to back. I don't see a difference in your demeanor or your, I guess the best way to put it, I just don't see you get rattled ever. So now that you're, don't get me wrong, Kyler and Timothy Jacobs are no slouches by any means. I mean, they obviously can win because they've made it this far. But did you view D-Ron any different than the other two matches you had before?
yeah, for sure. I mean, he won the Masters this year, and I've watched him a lot the past couple years on tour. So um, mentally, it did kind of. It was like, wow, I'm bowling Deron Booker. Like I watch him on TV. Like I look up to this guy. Um, so and Kyler and Tim, I've known for my whole life. So it was a little different in that sense. But
Sure.
my mindset going into it, throwing the bowling ball, was exactly the same. I mean, when I saw D-Rod, I was like, "Nice to meet you, man." Like, it was a happy moment for me just to be able to bowl against him, and then I had to throw all that away out the window, and I just had to focus on me. And between shots, I would try not to watch him as much, just because I can't control if he strikes or seven tens, or I can't control any of that. So I'm just trying to focus on me. So I would throw my shot, come back, sit down, and um, you know gather my thoughts and not worry about what my opponent was doing. And I think that was a big key. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely a little bit intimidated seeing D-Ron coming down to uh, join the pair. So yeah,
Got it. So you end up splitting those games 2-1, correct?
yep.
Do you remember those scores?
Um, I don't honestly. I know game one he kind of struggled. I remember he was playing up the right side game one. And I was like, it didn't look that great. And I
Right.
was really deep. And then I remember game two he moved in, and I saw him move in the fill ball game one. And I was like, oh, here we go. Like he'll have something over there for sure. And he did. He put it on me game two. I think he shot at least. I think he shot 220 something game two, 210 at least. But and I also shot 2-0 game two, so I think I lost by 10. And then game three, we both have 59 in the third, and I think he goes on a five bagger, 4 or 5 bagger, and um, I was also on a 4 or 5 bagger, and then after his little string, he left a three. He left the 3-6 and chopped it, and after that, I was like, okay, you need to fill 2 frames here. Um, I went back and watched the stream, and I remember Matt saying you need spare to lock him out, and I went up there and I struck, so that locked him out, and that was a crazy moment for me. That was probably the biggest moment of match play that far. So, um, but I knew that when D-Ron moved inside, it was going to be trouble because the look he had up the gutter wasn't great, but when he moved in, his ball was going through it, and he was getting some hits. I know he 7-10 once or twice, and he didn't get a couple breaks, but um, it was cool. It was pretty surreal. I watched him on TV. I was in the pro shop um, when he won, and it was crazy. I mean, just seeing him, getting to meet him, getting to bowl him. He's a great bowler. He's a great human too. So
Absolutely. Great guy.
it was a great experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So now you make the step ladder, and you're going to have to run the ladder in theory at this
Hmm.
point. So as we're preparing for, because we're redressing for the step ladder finals, you're down in the practice pairs. Any type of preparation that you want to let people know about, or was it just staying loose, or were
Uh,
you, talking to people? Were you kind of
yeah.
just by yourself? What was their mental prep getting ready for the step ladder finals?
Yeah. So after I bowled D-Ron, I actually didn't go down to the practice pair at all. I didn't throw a shot on the practice pair at all on Sunday.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, I went outside and I went to my car actually. I just needed to calm down. I just wanted to sit in my car and chill. I wanted to call my girlfriend. She was back in Flagstaff,
Was she
unfortunately. So
watching the stream?
she was at work, so she was off and on. She's a server, so she was off and
Okay,
on the stream. But I called her, told her what was going on, and
that's
I
awesome.
just kind of tried to get the heart rate back down a little bit, and
Mhm.
then I went back inside and I just hung out with my dad. He was down on the high end, just sitting there by himself. So I just went down there and, we talked strategy a little bit because of the re-oil and my look on the fresh wasn't the best. Especially pair to pair on the fresh was really tough. So we kind of came up with a little better game plan. I hit my purple really hard and then I blended it out with a 500 pad,
Okay,
which blended it out. It stole a lot of surface. Um, but yeah, and then luckily it looked good in the ladder and it got through the fronts. But yeah, going into the ladder, I was just, trying to stay as loose as possible. I didn't really want to go down to the practice pair and throw any shots. I felt like, two shots or three shots a lane was all I really needed. And going down to that practice pair was going to just throw my look off. I just felt like it would just throw me off a little bit because I was watching what people were doing down there. And I'm seeing people throw it back up on the practice pair. I'm seeing people throw it like it's just like it just in my opinion it looked like it was almost ruined. It was just a completely different pattern in my
got it.
opinion. So I stayed away from that and I knew what the fresh was going to give me roughly. So I didn't want to throw many shots on the practice pair. I get that some guys, they're not really like, oh, I need to stand here and stand here for it to strike because you're going to a different pair. They're just throwing shots to stay loose.
Yeah,
Um, but I was so I was in a mindset to like I didn't want to mess that up, so I kind of stayed away from it and just tried to keep the heart rate down until the ladder because Brendan and I got 5 minutes apiece, which in my mind was enough, especially with two people. So
right. So talk about match one against Brennan. What
yeah,
was
that
your
was
go?
yeah, he's a great bowler. I know my buddy Josh lives with him in Wesley, so I know he's at B3 all the time. I don't know if he works there part time, but I remember him growing up when I was bowling JBTs when I was younger and some other youth tournaments. So I knew it was he was gonna put up a fight for sure. And unfortunately, his look wasn't really there with the reactive ball on that pair. I'm sure if we were on another pair, it's maybe there, but his ball was going pretty far down the lane with all that surface on it. So unfortunately, it didn't look that great for him. But the purple for me, it looked good. I was standing on, I want to say 10 and a half to start, and I had a little bit of room in practice. I didn't throw much urethane. I didn't want to push all the oil down in the 5 minutes that we had. And so I think I threw my NB for 3.5 minutes, and then I threw my purple a couple shots, and I knew roughly where to stand with the purple. And when we started, um, I was like, anything can happen. Just keep your head down, make good shots, one at a
Right.
time. Like that's always what my dad's telling me. Like just get one strike, and then after that, go get one more. It's not. You don't want to focus too far ahead. So I was just trying to stay focused. My pre-shot routine, I was really trying to just stay in that because it's a high pressure situation. Your body wants to speed up naturally. So I could feel my heart rate going up. I could feel my body wanting to go faster. And so I had to slow myself down. But yeah, I mean, I basically, that first match I threw the purple, 11-4, 10-4, and it gave me everything I needed. I know I think I missed a couple times in the seventh or eighth. Thanks for the black cloud. I was listening to that. That was funny to me. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it was over already at that point. Brennan, um, unfortunately, didn't have that great of a look, but he's a great bowler. I've seen him win a lot of tournaments, so hats off to him all weekend. But yeah, it was
I
fortunate
mean,
for me.
I mean, there's so many people that made the cashers round, especially into and then once we started match play in time 24. I mean, every single person earned that
Oh
right to
yeah,
be in that top 24. So yeah, there's by no means anybody that got in by chance. I mean,
yeah,
it was a lot of work for these guys to get in. So yeah, I think anybody could have beat anybody on any given Sunday. Hate that cliche, but it's true.
it
Especially in
is.
match play. You know, you just have to you just see it a little bit better. You get lined up a little bit better, and unfortunately, that's just sometimes all it takes is just matching up properly and getting the breaks, and other people's don't.
Yeah.
So you end up winning that match, 140 to 184, and then you end up bowling against Josh Kennedy, which was waiting in the wings. So can you tell us a little bit about that match?
Yeah, that match I felt, I was watching Josh Bull all week. I had never seen him before, but just looking across the center, he caught your eye just to how great he throws the ball. He's got great form, he's got great ball roll, he's got really high rev rate. Um,
Sorry about
so it
that.
was no, all good. And so I knew I had it coming for me. I knew he was gonna come at me, and I knew we were playing the lanes pretty similar. I knew he was making a living throwing that purple right up the gutter and qualifying. He had a great look with that. So on the fresh, I was in the back of my mind, I was like, I feel like Josh he had a really good look on the fresh. So again, I wasn't gonna think too much about that. I thought about it for half a second and then threw it out the back of my mind, and then I just focused on making shots. And the step ladder was such a blur. Honestly, I went back and watched it yesterday, but the match against Josh, it was such a blur. I mean, I was just, I'd throw my shot, come back. I would try not to look around too much and just act like it's practice. I was just trying to act like it was just me in the lane there, not even an opponent. So I
Okay.
was texting my girlfriend and a couple of my friends between shots and, trying to stay loose a little bit. But we both started double double, and I was like, "Yep, that's what I expected." He's got a great look, and then I think he 4-7 or 4-10, and then I think he went a little light in 2-10 after that. But um, I saw that, and I was like, I need to stay clean. I need to keep the pressure on him. Like you can't let your foot off the gas here. Um, but he bowled great all weekend as well, so I knew that match was going to be tight. I knew that we were both doing the same thing, so it was going to be a matter of filling frames
Right.
and catching that double early. And we both caught the double early. It was just about keeping the pressure on him. So I'm grateful that that purple looked really good for those two games, and I moved my feet half a board in those two games. So it was uh, it was pretty cool.
So now you beat Josh. Now you go into the title match with Sam. What are your initial thoughts bowling against somebody like Sam Cooley with the resume that he has? Did
Yeah.
that affect you at all? Or like run, or did you kind of at that point just you're ready to go at that point?
I was very nervous. Um, I was very nervous. I've looked up to Sam. He doesn't know that. I've never really spoke to him all that much, but I love the way he bowls. I love the way he like presents himself on the lane. Like you said, he's one of those guys. He doesn't get too high or too low about anything, and uh, I admire that because that's hard to do, especially in situations like that. So,
You do the same
going,
thing.
yeah, I try to replicate some of those guys that I'm watching, and I like their mannerisms and the way they carry themselves on the lanes. And don't get me wrong, I like the guys that shout and slap one out every now and then, but in the long run, for me at least, I've learned for me as a bowler, like just staying calm and um, not showing much emotion either way, whichever way it's going is better for me. But yeah, going
Right.
into that match, I mean, Sam was, he's one of the best in the world, very intimidating person. And so my mindset, again, it didn't really change either way. In my mind, I was like, I need to make good shots. That was all I was thinking about was one shot at a time, um, go get the first one.
Right.
So I started off that match. I started with the strike, and Sam was throwing some sort of tank, some sort of motive tank, and he left that bucket first frame and then missed it, and then second frame he switched to reactive on the left lane and 210. And when I saw that, I was like, you know, I feel like he's kind of searching still, but I mean, he's one of the best in the world. I mean, he by the snap of his fingers, he'll figure it out. So right after that, he put a double on me. Luckily, I was able to start off with the front four. I was throwing really good shots. I was keeping the ball right in front of me. Um, Shout out Coach Nasberg for that. But um, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Sam was a little inside of me with the urethane ball, and after he started open, he moved a little right and got that double, and then it was four bagger to 18 in the second off a double. So I was liking my chances pretty early, but when I saw him start open, it definitely spiked my heart rate a little bit, just a little, just knowing like the match is kind of already like it's not in my hands, but I'm up by 30 in two frames.
Right.
So um, I was like, just stay calm. I've worked so hard for this, honestly, and the amount of pressure I put on myself in practices, and when my girlfriend will be there, my dad will be there, and I'll just be there bowling, as many games as possible, and until my hand rips open. So, and I knew it would come in handy in situations like that. I think I ended up bowling 15 games on Sunday, and it definitely helped that I would go practice and kind of try to replicate these situations. But you can never replicate bowling for $5,000 against Sam Cooley. I mean, that's what I was trying not to think about at all.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
definitely a $5,000 swing whether you win or you don't.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
big deal for sure. So when did you know you had it in the bag? And once you had it in the bag, what were you thinking? Like on that last shot, and that you just knew you were gonna lock it up.
Yeah, it makes my heart rate go up just thinking about that, honestly. I mean, he was off a double somewhere in the midway through the match, and then he left a 10 pin, a ringing 10 on the left lane. I don't remember what frame it was, and then he whiffed it, and it put him to 130 in the eighth. And I looked up at the scoreboard, and I had 125 in the fifth, and I was working off a double, and I was like, Sam can punch out for 190 here. Like, let me go get this spare, and I've got it locked up, and I think I struck. And that's when I knew I locked it up. I knew I needed like I don't know, like 8 pins and two frames to if Sam punched out. So it was crazy. It didn't feel real, honestly. I haven't bowled too many huge tournaments. I bowled a couple 10Ks here and there, a couple regional events here and there, but I mean, it was crazy. It was a crazy feeling, and I just want to thank my mom and dad for giving me opportunities and providing me with everything I need to go out there and compete. And same with Virtue Bowling Supply and my girlfriend. So there's a lot of people that played into it, and it was the best feeling in the world, the best feeling bowling related I've ever had. And hopefully there's more to come, but
Oh,
it felt
I
like a
don't.
dream.
Yeah. So you're 22 years old. You're a senior in college. Um, what's next?
Yeah, so I'm getting my degree in interdisciplinary studies, and I'm going to be uh, graduating this winter actually. So or this spring, sorry. But
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes. I also worked at the Capitol at a lobbyist firm. My buddy Josh Williams and well, his dad owns a lobbyist firm, and I worked for him this past session at the Capitol. So I might be doing that, and I'll be if so, I'll be there for a few months out of the year, and then um, after that, we'll try to go bowl as many regionals as we can. But life right now for me after college, it's up in the air. Honestly, I really do want to take a shot at the tour. I practice every day. I bowl lots and lots of games. I work on my game constantly. So I feel like I would regret it later in life if I didn't at least try. So I definitely want to give it a shot in the next year or two and see where it takes me. I mean, I definitely want to bowl a few more regionals first and then see how that goes. I have a couple friends that went out and bowled the PTQs last year and the year before. So maybe I'll talk to them and get some advice from them, um, see what their mindset looks like when they're bowling that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep bowling. I'm gonna keep practicing. I'm gonna keep bowling every day and uh, just trying to better myself, better my game.
Um, I wanted to touch on something that you and I discussed yesterday, preparing for today. Um, and your dad had called me last week saying you needed to switch a squad, and I thank you for allowing us to kind of chat about this because I know it's important to you. So I don't know if you want to let the people know kind of what was on your shoe. Well, that I believe that was another thing that kind of gave you that extra inspiration throughout Sunday or even through the weekend. Do you want to elaborate that at all?
Yeah. Um, so a couple weeks ago, my friend and roommate, I moved up here to Flagstaff with my girlfriend and her cousin, and one of our best friends too, who my girlfriend was living with for a few years, and unfortunately, she passed away a couple weeks ago unexpectedly, and she was struggling with some pretty tough mental things, and she was going through a lot of pain, and it's been a very tough couple weeks for my girlfriend and I, and also her cousin who we also live with. And I'm doing this interview in her room right now, but you know, she was the best person I've ever met. She was the most happy person I've ever met. She was in the theater club. She was the most outgoing person you'll ever meet. And yeah, she was struggling a lot with a lot of things. And unfortunately, she passed away a couple weeks ago. And on Saturday, I attended a service for her. And you know, it's been really hard for me and my girlfriend. But one of the things I did before the tournament, and I did it actually, I won a strike force a couple weeks ago. I did it right before that. Is I wrote her name on my shoe, on my slide foot, and I would line up. I'd line up, and I'd do it. I was doing it against Sam Cooley. Honestly, that's when I looked down in the first frame, and I saw her name on my shoe, and it just made me loosen up. It made me realize, life is so much bigger than me throwing this bowling ball right now. And I love bowling and I love everything that comes with it. But at that moment, the amount of struggles that people go through day to day, mentally, physically, it's a battle. And, it just, life is so much bigger than me throwing that bowling ball to win $5,000 against Sam Cooley. Um, and so that's what I wrote on my left shoe. I wrote her name, and anytime I'd line up, I'd look down and I'd see her name, and I knew that everything was going to be okay no matter what. So it took some pressure off me, and I know that she was with me on that whole tournament. So
I appreciate you sharing that. I know that's hard, and um, it just shows the character of you. I've said that to your dad for as long as I've known you two, and you're you're an impressive, very impressive young man. And I'm sorry, um, that had happened. My condolences go out to uh, her family and everyone that surrounds her that knows her. So again, my deepest condolences to everybody involved. But um, but yeah, that's a testament to you and your just the fact that you can push through all of that and accomplish what you accomplished this weekend. So hats off to you. And Yeah, absolutely amazing. So when I heard that, that just adds more to this unbelievable Cinderella story that you have. That's the best way I can equate it. You know, you're 22, you're a college student. Um, yeah, everything you've gone through, and you're just starting out your life. And I'm so happy that you attended my event and you bowled. So thank you for coming out and supporting the tournament. And it's it's awesome. I couldn't have a better champion to represent the tournament, for this year. So this upcoming year, I am proud to call you our champion. So
thank you,
just know
Carl.
that.
That means a
Um,
lot.
so yeah, any closing thoughts, and anything you want to let people know about you, about the tournament, about oh, one thing before you do that, shout out to your dad. I know you and I talked about that yesterday, but every time I see you bowling, I see your dad in the back. And like I was telling you yesterday, I lost my father at a very young age, but how I fell in love with the sport is because he took me to the centers and just kind of it reminded me a lot of my dad because he would just be in the back watching me bowl. And like I said, kudos to your dad. Um, that bond that you two have, if they see you, they'll know it. They will automatically see the relationship that you and your father have. Um, that's awesome that you have that opportunity. Cherish those moments. I know he's a proud father, as I talked to him right after you won. So, awesome to that. Just that's a really cool thing to have. You're blessed to have that. So that's awesome.
100%. Yeah, I want to thank a couple people, especially, like you said, my dad. Um, he's been supporting me with anything and everything that I do in life, whether that's like, going and trying to play baseball. I played college baseball for a couple years here in Phoenix, and I played basketball my whole life growing up. And I want to go. Hey, Dad, can we go throw the baseball? Yeah, of course. Hey, Dad, can we go hit some balls on the range? Yeah, of course. Like he's always been there for me, no matter what. And I can never thank him enough. I'll never be able to show him enough
Right.
thanks for that because I know not a lot of people have that, and so I feel really blessed to have that. And my mom, I know that she was at home watching the ladders, and I know that she was shaking and pacing back and forth. So huge shout out to her too. She's the best. I have the best support system and I'm very grateful for that. So I also want to give a huge thanks to Virtue Bowling Supply and Starlight Lanes here in Flagstaff. They do so much for me up here. Um, Virtue allows me to, drill my own equipment and go in the shop and get some hours and um, get some work. And Starlight allows me to, go practice. And I bowl league there. I was bowling twice a week, and now I'm bowling there once a week. But I'm there almost every day. And um, shout out to Chris Stewart and Jack Wofford here at Starlight. They've helped me a lot, and they're doing more than what has ever been done for me in the bowling community. So that center up here, it feels like home, and it's only been a couple months that I've been here, so it's
Nice.
been great. And I want to thank you, Carl, too, for hosting this tournament, allowing me the opportunity to, win this tournament and kind of put myself out there. Um, you provided me with that opportunity. I've won a few local events this year and last year, and you know, I I don't I would like to have some sponsors at some point, and I just didn't feel like it was getting anywhere, and I felt like I was bowling really well and winning a lot of local stuff, but I didn't feel like it just felt like oh, I just made a little bit of money, I can go pay my rent now. So I feel like it's open doors, and you've definitely opened these doors for me, and I appreciate that um, more than you know. And thanks to Matt and his crew for coming out and streaming it all week. It was great to watch, and I was watching every stream. I was at minus 15 since Friday, so I was watching every stream nervously, and it was great. They did a great job hosting, and Tim Mack's a great guy. He sent me a message after, and um, it's pretty surreal when you grow up watching those guys on TV, and you're like, wow, I want to throw it like that guy one day. And then he texts you how well you bowled and how he really enjoyed watching you, and it really feels great. It feels surreal, and I'm still. Yesterday, it kind of hit me that I'd won, and everything that's been happening the past couple weeks. So it's been a roller coaster of emotions for sure. But last night it hit me, and I'm very thankful. And this is the biggest tournament I've ever won, and I'm just grateful for you, Carl. Thanks for putting on this tournament, and I really do think everyone should come bowl. Um, Carl provides an equal opportunity um, for everybody. It's there's a little bit of handicap involved if you need it, and there's a couple of stipulations with that provide the fairness that a tournament needs when you have Sam Cooley and D-Ron Booker in the field. So it was really cool seeing uh, great bowlers from across the world, and it was great seeing all the local guys too come out for it. But everything was on time. Every squad was on time. The brackets were paid out immediately. Um, there's not one bad thing to say about that tournament, and
Well,
that's very hard to do, Carl. I mean that. I bowl in a lot of tournaments, and I don't like to complain, but I find something usually about a tournament, and that tournament was great. I don't like showing up a long time before our squad times, and say if I bowled at 2, I'd show up at like 1:30, 1:35. I'd walk in and I'd get my lane right away, go to my lane, and have enough time to hit my equipment, get my mental ready, and go.
sure.
So everything about that tournament was great. It was so smoothly ran. And hats off to Theo. He's been a great tournament director all year too, with the CBEs and everything he does too. It's been great. So you two together, I mean, you couldn't have asked for better tournament directors. So thank you.
No, and I appreciate the kind words, but yeah, I was just gonna say I could not do this without Theo, and complete bowling events, and then another couple people that I want to say thank you to from me is Aaron Yamamoto and Virginia Young.
Yeah,
Um, they're definitely behind the scenes and they definitely help. Um, but yeah, big shout out to Rotogrip, all the sponsors, Unwind Wellness, my real estate team. You know, all of this and so many others have made this a tournament the way it turned out. So again, thank you for the kind words. I super appreciate it. Um, yeah, we'll continue to try to grow it, and we'll continue to try to have stories like this, that
Yeah,
come out of the tournament. So, you know, you deserve everything that you've earned. Um, give yourself all the credit in the world. No one, at the end of the day, you're the one that tied your shoes and threw the rocks.
yeah,
So kudos to you. Couple other things that I wanted you to know about. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. You actually won something else. You won a couple of things. You have a choice because I've worked with Steve Mackey and the New Mexico Open, as well as Theo with the Cactus Classic here in Phoenix. Because you're the winner, you have a choice, and whatever tournament you just don't decide, just based on schedule or whatever, that other one will then be presented to Sam Cooley. So you have a choice between the New Mexico Open, having an entry there, or having an entry into next year's Cactus Classic. So you don't have to tell me today, but something to think about. And one other thing is, I know you have a lot of options, but you did win the Rotogrip amateur contract. Um, so congratulations on that as well.
yeah. Thank you. I mean, that was in the back of my head too. I don't have any sponsors. Hopefully, I'm looking for a jersey sponsor if anybody out there, wants to help me
Well,
out. Um,
Farrell Williams and Royal Flush Apparel were a huge sponsor this year. So definitely, Farrell, if you're listening, our champion wants to have a conversation with you.
yeah, that would be awesome.
Well,
I shout out to Virtue. They provide me with jerseys and shirts and equipment. So, but yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to it, and I knew after I beat Sam Cooley that that contract was mine, and um, it's crazy and it's great. And I've been telling my girlfriend and my parents for the past couple of years, hey, like, what do you think it'll take for me to get signed? What do I need to do? How do I need to put myself out there? And it's crazy that it happened this way. So
well, your future looks bright, and I think this is the first of many, many opportunities that are going to present themselves to you. Um, what I can tell you, you're an amazing bowler, but I think you're even a better person. So again, kudos to you and your dad for raising you around the sport that you the future is whatever you want it to be. Um, and congratulations again. Thank you for spending time with me today and doing this interview. Again, I'm proud to have you representing our tournament as our current champion. And let's see if you go back to back next year. Let's see what happens.
yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
But thank you, Carl. I know we've talked a lot in the past, even before this tournament, and we've had good talks. And I appreciate your support always, and you're always telling me that I should, go out there and keep bowling and just keep doing what I'm doing. And I appreciate the support from everybody. I also want to give a huge shout out to every single person that came and supported me in that title match. Um, I wasn't looking up after many shots, but I would hear the claps, and there were so many supporters there. It's crazy what the bowling community in Arizona uh, looks like right now. It's just growing and growing. So I'm very thankful for everybody that was there. I had a couple of ASU guys there too that, afterwards we were talking about it, and it was great. So shout out to everybody that's been there for me.
All right. Awesome. Well, Kyle, thanks again. Um, yeah, I'll see you around, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Thanks a lot. I appreciate everything you guys did.
Absolutely. Have a good one, man. Take care.
Yeah. Yeah, you too, Carl.
Bye bye.
See ya.